Now that the hustle and bustle of the NFL draft weekend is over, I know you've probably read articles and breakdowns of all the national pundits giving more letter grades than a midterm exam in a high school. And you know me, I got to give my own little spin on it. Instead of giving a grade, I'm going to give each team a best pick and my worst pick for them. Of course, everybody knows about the reaches of the teams by the Raiders taking Cleveland Farrell so early, and of course the New York Giants taking Daniel Jones at number 6. So those are the obvious guys, but let's take a deeper look. All right. So when I talk about best pick and worst pick, I'm not talking about if the guy's going to be an all-star or a stud, or I think he's going to be a bust, because without seeing them touch the field or even put on a helmet in the NFL, you never know. Some guys translate different, and for me to judge them off rip would be ignorant of me. It's clear as day that drafting is not a science, so I'm not going to project that these guys are going to be a superstar or a dud, and I'll leave that to the guys at the 4-letter network. So these picks will be based on the value, where they got them in the draft, how much they had to give up to move to make that move, and what caliber of player do I project that they could be. This is Unnecessary Blunt and Sports Talk, and I start off every video by saying, what up, dude? I'm Aaron Duncan, and on this channel, I give recap and analysis of the NFL, in particular, the NFC South. So you want to see more videos about the Bucs, Panthers, Saints, or Falcons, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, guys. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss any videos and you get a notification every time. And of course, you probably come for your team, but I advise you to stick around and listen to all your rivals. If you don't want to, timestamps will be in the description. So the first team up is the Carolina Panthers. And for their best pick, I chose Greg Little, left tackle out of the University of Ole Miss. A lot of experts projected Little to be a first-round draft pick, and before the college football even started last year, a lot of them had him rated as the #1 left tackle coming out, period. So the thing about it is the tackle position for the Panthers is a little bit complicated. The bright side is they finally got rid of Matt Khalil, aka Speed Bump McGee. However, the dilemma is that the team re-signed former All-Pro right tackle Darrell Williams, but Taylor Moton played the same position this season and played it fairly well. Yes, he spent some time at left tackle, so we thought maybe that Moton would be left tackle, Darrell would be right, but it seems like they're going to make this into a battle and make Darrell and Moton go at it. Moton will probably end up playing guard, and they may start Little from day one at left tackle and leave him in there to protect Cam Newton's blind side. And if you remember, Darrell Williams actually beat out Taylor Moton for that right tackle position before his All-Pro year, but it seems like right tackle may be the best position for Moton, but he's a good lineman and he's versatile, and that's the type of players that Carolina likes to play, so I see him getting on the field probably at guard. So the bright side about signing Little is that they sure up that blind side for Cam Newton that hasn't been solidified probably since Jordan Gross retired a long time ago. Guys like Michael Orr and Michael Remmers have been liabilities and probably have taken years off of Cam Newton's career. Now they have Little, and they can leave him in there for the end of time. And for their worst pick, Will Grier, quarterback, West Virginia, in the 3rd round. I know the injury last year to Cam Newton spooked a lot of people around the NFL and a lot of people around the organization, but when there's glaring holes on the team like pass rush and free safety, it kind of makes you scratch your head why they're taking a quarterback in the 3rd round who we don't even know if he's going to be better than the guys that they had already on the roster. Whoa, don't get me wrong. I like Will Grier as a player, and I think he'll be pretty solid in the pros, but how much better is he right now than Taylor Heineke or Kyle Allen, who actually played pretty decent in the spare time that they got to play down the stretch? Most teams only keep 2 active quarterbacks on game day, so it looks like Will Grier would probably be that guy because he has to be that guy if you spent that high of a draft pick on him. Next up is the Atlanta Falcons. Their best pick, Chris Lindstrom, Boston College, offensive guard. To be honest, Lindstrom wasn't my favorite pick for the Falcons at this point, but I feel like once all the D tackles and D ends came off the board early, they kind of panicked and they had to take the best guy available at one of their needs also. You know, I think they needed interior rush and interior presence on defense, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, but they had to do what they had to do in that time frame. I mean, you can't knock him because Lindstrom is the best player his position in that draft, and they had a glaring need. They signed some guys in free agency, but I expect him to be a day one starter and be there for a long time. But I know it's been going around that why did they do so much work at guard in the offseason signing a bunch of vets if they're going to go ahead and draft one with their 1st round draft pick? So that's a move by Dimitrov that kind of makes you scratch your head, but that's why I think they probably panicked once all those defenders on the defensive line came off the board so early. The Falcons' worst pick, I got Kendall Sheffield, cornerback out of Ohio State. Look, on paper, this guy has all the tools, and he's very, very fast and explosive. And apparently, Ohio State is making their push to beat DBU with guys like Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, and Von Bell coming out recently in the draft. Look, man, I just got to say it. My biggest concern with Kendall Sheffield is he seems to me like Robert Alford 2.0. Very athletic, fast, raw, not great ball skills, not great at finding the ball in the air, gets a little grab happy in coverage once he gets lost with the ball in the air. Sounds a lot familiar from the guy that they just cut and let walk to Arizona. Hopefully he can develop into Dan Quinn a little bit better than Alford did and refrain from all the pass interference and holding calls. Next up is the New Orleans Saints. So we know coming into draft weekend, the Saints were handicapped because they mortgaged their future pretty much on last year's first round draft pick, Marcus Davenport, whose rookie season was riddled by injuries in camp and throughout the season. So they had a limited number of opportunities to make picks in the draft weekend. For their best pick, fourth rounder, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, DB out of Florida. That is a mouthful. I mean, that's a lot of names and hyphens and consonants. Look, to get a guy like that this late in the draft in the fourth round, it's got to feel pretty dang good for the Saints. This guy just hung around the draft board a little too long for them to pass up. So they made a couple moves, moved a couple resources around, moved up, and got the guy. My biggest thing for him is his versatility. Playing for one of the best defenses in the best conference of college football, being able to play all over the place with his man coverage, zone coverage, deep safety, outside, a little bit in the box every now and then, is something that you need in DBs in the NFL with the passing game changing and the running games get a lot more sophisticated. In a division with great pass catching tight ends like Austin Hooper, Greg Olsen, and O.J. Howard, not to mention the great pass catching running backs like Christian McCaffrey and Devontae Freeman, you need a guy like this that can walk down to the line of scrimmage and man up and cover some of these guys, whether it's coming out of the backfield or coming off the end of the line of scrimmage being a tight end. He's projected as a deep safety to be his best position when he gets into the league, but I think his versatility will be the thing that gets him on the field early at pretty much any spot, and he's a nice little piece for Dennis Allen to be able to play with. For the worst pick by New Orleans Saints, I have Saquon Hampton, safety out of Rutgers, in the 6th round. So before y'all come at me and talk about how good Hampton is, I know it's hard to argue that a guy of Hampton's caliber being picked in the 6th round is much of a bad pick because at the end of the day, it's only a 6th round pick. What do you expect him besides maybe a special teams guy and guys that fill in holes in specific roles on your roster? However, when your team only has 5 draft picks, somebody had to be the worst. Everybody can't be first. This is no knock against Hampton's ability because I think if he can stay healthy, he has a chance to see some playing time possibly early if he does and progresses like I think he does, and if the Saints secondary struggles early on in the season again like they did last year. My grip on this pick is them taking 2 safeties in back-to-back picks when we came into the draft knowing that the Saints needed a little bit more help on the outside offensively. Yes, they signed Jared Cook, and he's a capable pass-catching tight end, but we knew that Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and Ted Ginn weren't going to be enough. They needed a little bit more to help get this offense a little bit more options on the outside, just to give them a little bit more comfort coming down the stretch. And last but certainly not least, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For their best pick, I have Sean Bunting, cornerback out of Central Michigan in the 2nd round. Although I'm in love with the Devin White pick for obvious reasons, being able to get a cornerback like Bunting in the 2nd round is huge for them. He wasn't one of the big names like Greedy or DeAndre Baker, but Sean Bunting has a chance to be the best corner in this draft class. He showed at the NFL Combine that he has the size, speed, and athleticism to match up with some of these great wide receivers in this division like Michael Thomas and DJ Moore and Julio Jones. And that's a smart way to build a defense. The easiest path to get to the playoffs is to win your division. The best way to win your division is to match up well against the teams you're going against, and that's what this pick is for. He's super sticky in coverage, and his length allows him to make a lot of plays on the ball, whether it's pass breakups or the occasional interception. And for the worst pick for the Buccaneers, you guys know it's coming, is Matt Gay, kicker out of the University of Utah. I know Jason Light has caught a lot of heat for taking a kicker and not learning his lesson with Robert Aguayo, and I can't defend this move because in a team that's in transition with a new coach and a new system on defense and making a transition and bringing in new players, there's got to be other positions of need that need to be met besides a kicker that high in the draft. Look, I know the Bucs had more kickers in rotation last year than a joint at a Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg concert, but Come on, man. I know you guys were kind of shuffling guys in and out and you're tired of putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone, but this ain't it, dude. Didn't you just give a contract to Cairo Santos? And I'm all about competition, but why bring in a guy picked that high if you just signed somebody else? And yes, I've seen the percentages on this guy coming out of Utah, but remember how good Aguayo was in college and he turned into a head case. Hopefully they put this guy through a CAT scan and a psych evaluation during the pre-draft process just to know what his head is made up of, to see if he can actually keep his composure and translate what he did in college to the pro, because this could be the last mistake Jason Licht makes in his career as the Bucs general manager, if that's the case. But you guys let me know down below in the comments what you thought the best and worst pick for your team was, because if you're feeling like I'm feeling about these picks, you got a little questions to ask to the team, man. You need to find some answers. So let's talk about it down below in the comments. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and bell icon again. Make sure you don't miss any videos. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't. Either way, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm Aaron Ducker signing off for the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. I'll see you next time. Peace.